What's up, y'all? Will Lucas here, Black Tech Green Money. Another episode, another remarkable episode. This one with Kobie Fuller, my man, he's really unique because as a venture capitalist, which he does great deal making because he's really good at what he does, he's also a builder. And so he's both investing and building AI technology, which is really unique because a lot of VCs, they just play on one side of the table, but he's on both sides doing it super duper well. So I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. Maybe you even enjoy it even more. So I imagine as a venture capitalist, you got to be drawn to the verticals you decide to invest money in. And I'm curious in what inspired you to get interested into more frontier technologies, things that we're early on, AR, VR, AI, when the whole name of the game is to know you're going to make money. And so to jump in on the AR and VR, you're speculating in many ways.
Yeah, it is speculation and it's fun too. It's fun. I mean, if I'm just investing in a piece of technology that is just an iteration on an existing concept, to me that feels, I don't know, just personally somewhat boring and not trying to, create the future. And so it's really exciting and a privilege about this job as a VC is that if you so have the ability to invest in frontier technology in what today may seem crazy, but tomorrow is a reality and how the world just operates, and you have the privilege of being part of that. I mean, that's just fundamentally awesome. So I love meeting with founders that have like the craziest out there idea where you look at them, you're like, what the hell are you talking about? Like when I first met or heard the concept of when Brendan Arib, CEO and founder of Oculus, was building like real true VR for the masses. My first reaction was just like, that's science fiction. Is that a real
Yeah.
thing? And then I was remember telling my friends I invested in this VR device, and no one wanted to hear about it. They're just like, well, I don't care about what the hell you're talking about VR. And then before you know it, like it's a thing, or maybe it will be a thing. I mean, it's still not actually a mass market device, but it's just for me what's inspiring about this job is to have the privilege of going on these journeys with founders that want to bring the future to the present, and that's awesome.
How does this new conversation we're having at least over the last 2 3 years with AI being on the mainstream consciousness, how does that change, if it does, the decision making process regarding investment strategy?
So, well, a number of things. So, AI is in one part front and center in a manner where everyone has access to it, but in practice, there has still been so much that most consumer and professional audiences have yet to be exposed to. And my job is to try to continue staying on the frontier side of things with regards to where's the puck going in AI. It's not just some interesting thing that you can wrap around chat GPT that creates some pedestrian app that's going to be commoditized tomorrow. To me, it's like next level thinking around how can we take what is essentially intelligence that's been productized in this nice little delivery vehicle being these LLMs. And where I'm spending my
Explain
time
what that is.
is
Explain what LLM is for people who are.
large language models essentially are
Yeah.
these foundational models that companies like OpenAI and others have created where they've trained a system that you can tap into to essentially tap into the knowledge of what right now people consider could be at the level of like PhD level intelligence. So it's
Yeah.
essentially tapping
Yeah.
into a brain that has the ability to think and reason, and in some cases perform tasks. In the case of ChatGPT, has access to all the information on the internet up until I don't know what the certain date is right now, but up until a certain date.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so the really interesting thing, what you can do about that though, is you think about you have this piece of machinery that knows how to think and reason. By the way, it can't do everything. Sometimes it struggles at complex, like multi-step processes. So it's not like the silver bullet. But the interesting thing is if you take this piece of machinery and knows how to think and reason, and then you connect it to like knowledge, real like proprietary knowledge that does not exist on the internet. For instance, knowledge around like what is the absolute smartest, most seasoned CMO think with regards to how to launch some new marketing campaign. Like that knowledge is maybe it's buried somewhere on the internet, but it could be in the heads of a seasoned trained CMO who wants to productize that and package it up with this delivery vehicle being AI and ChatGPT or some other mechanism that then allows for the average marketer to be able to get perspective on how do they launch a new campaign for some product they're trying to bring to market. And so for me, what gets me excited is this new layer of productized intelligence that's available in masses that then could be brought in conjunction with knowledge from individuals across the planet, any human being that has knowledge that then could be delivered in what I consider these delivery vessels could be embodied AI devices like Humane, where some people have seen this pin that you wear that has this kind of overlay of AI that walks with you. We have an investment in a company that is still in stealth that's going after that category with a different form factor. It could be a co-pilot that is in your applications like Microsoft Word that's giving you assistance as you're writing a document. It can manifest itself in so many different manners, but for me, like I get super excited about being able to package up intelligence in a manner I've never seen before and activate it through the power of AI in these large language models. If that makes sense.
Yeah. No, it makes total sense, and it brings me. I had to write this down because I wanted to make sure it was a fully thought out question when I was listening to you talk and thinking about this. Is what is the decision making process when you're approached with these two different things? One, let's say I'm building a large language model and I'm attempting to go compete with Bard or Claude or OpenAI's ChatGPT or et cetera. What is the decision-making process you're going to go through if I'm doing that versus I'm going to employ an LLM for a specific use case?
Well,
I'm asking you for money.
My decision-making process, if you're trying to go up against OpenAI or Bard, is like I'm not going to invest in it because that is for some people, if they want to create a new LLM to go after that race of the next foundational model, more power to them. I am staying more at the application layer of the stack, so take advantage of all the dollars funding these foundational models that then are powering the next generation of AI applications. So if you're trying to create a foundational model, good luck to you. You're very ambitious, and it's amazing to have ambition. But that's not where I'm playing. I'm playing at the layer on top around creating unique sets of experiences or models based on custom knowledge and contextually relevant sort of use cases. And it could be the use case of the best sales intelligence to help orchestrate an overall sort of sales department selling enterprise software, to a marketing department, to a legal department, to different sort of consumer applications.
No, I love that. And I'm going to take that one step further because, when you have, these hot topics like we do with AI right now, every agency, every startup starts to say, we have AI. and even if it's like, very rudimentary or whatever, and no shade on those people, but I want to know, when as somebody who invests capital, what do you see when you read that copy or you see those decks as, flags, orange flags, maybe not red, maybe not yellow, but somewhere in between? You're like, yeah, I can tell. Like, bro, come on. There's no real technology here. There's no real innovation here.
For me, when someone says they have AI and it's not like AI in a true like novel sense as I'm looking at the product, it's almost like saying like, I have electricity. It's like, great, like you have AI, like, like so you're in the game. So you actually are like hooked up. You're hooked up to like normal life as we know it right now. So to me, it's not a selling factor, and for folks that try to make it part of the pitch for what they're doing is like, I have AI. I'm just like, cool, okay. So what do you really have? Like, yeah,
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
AI too. Like, so yeah, it's not a pitch. For me, it's all about what problem are you trying to solve? And then is there anything you've done in a unique manner where AI is helping solve that problem? And as it relates to like technical defensibility, there are like very, very, very few examples of anything right now that has some technical moat. For me, like technical moats almost like
Yeah.
don't exist.
Yeah.
And it all is about, first and foremost for me when I invest in companies, the founder. Why are they doing it? Why are they uniquely positioned to succeed in building something that hopefully changes the world in some facet? And hopefully they're trying to change the world. And for me, that's what drives me in terms of where I'm deploying capital is those moonshot ideas that hopefully change the world for the better.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up that term, Mo, because I was going to ask you about this. Like, what are some things that you are looking for? So I'm asking you to go a level deeper on that. What are some criteria you're looking for when you're considering an investment? Because there's got to be something that's defensible. I know you just mentioned there's not a ton defensible here, but something has to be defensible, even if it's the entrepreneur, like their unique perspective on the world. Like, talk to me about that.
Yeah. So I look for founders that have some sort of superpower. So where do they spike relative to most other human beings on the planet that gives them an unfair advantage to hopefully exploit that superpower in a way that is incredibly relevant towards whatever product that they're building. And then on the side of that, I did create this acronym that encapsulates a little bit of what I consider differentiation that you can architect in any product, but this exists very much within the world of software, where it goes down to having these elements that I call fabric. So a product, when you use it, in my opinion, needs to feel just like lightning fast. That's what the F stands for. And it also should be incredibly fast with regards to how you onboard yourself, how you get to what you need to actually do. Like, fast products when you use them and you
Mm-hmm.
love them. And when products are slow, you're like, I just don't want to use this thing. It's almost like the product is
Yeah.
working against you.
Yeah.
A stands for addictive. Products should feel almost like video games. When you're using them, there's like this dopamine hit you get with them at a point where it's like you want to go back and back and back to it and again and again and again. That's kind of what ChatGPT does a little bit in terms of the addictive nature of what it does. It knows you. It can actually personalize the experience for you. The latest releases of ChatGPT that actually has this large context window where it doesn't forget who you are, which is amazing. Bold. I think products need to have some level of boldness with regards to the way they look, the way they feel, or what they're trying to accomplish in some facet. The R stands for rewarding. If the product doesn't have clear reward to the level that, like, it's almost like you're getting like a steal for this product. For instance, like I think Calendly is an incredibly rewarding product. It's essentially streamlines the way in which you can be able to schedule events. Imagine if like
Mm-hmm.
one day you depended on Calendly and someone like takes it away from you. You like most people would just like they wouldn't know how to operate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Integrated is the point where like if you were to try to rip this product out, like it would totally disrupt your life or how you do business. Salesforce is one of the best integrated products I can think of because they created this thing called the App Exchange, which are a myriad of third-party products to integrate into Salesforce to frankly plug the holes with regards to what Salesforce can't do itself, to the point where
That's right.
Salesforce is this like central platform that has all its other applications built on top of. Where you try to rip out Salesforce, you're done. And then the
You
last
can't. Yeah.
item, yeah, you can't. The last item, though, which I think is probably the most powerful, is community. And so if you think about if you as a company are able to create a community around your product, amongst your users, amongst your customers, then it's less a relationship between you, the company, and your users. It's a relationship between users and other users in a way that you almost have
Hmm.
this movement coming together around your product, around your organization, that like the company becomes almost bigger than itself. And if another company comes around, it's offering the same product even better, many times people won't leave that existing product that they're a part of because like it's the community, that's their tribe, that's their people. Some people are so fanatical they tattoo like the logo onto their arm. And if you could architect all of these things into one, it's kind of just like another layer on top of like what hopefully maybe a technical moat that you think you have, you probably don't. To me, it's kind of like a kill shot around how you can go out and build a highly defensible company. And that's why the companies like Figma have done incredibly well because they've done an incredible job across all facets of that framework. So that's kind of how I think about ways in which you can try to create some defensibility towards your product.
Yeah, so it's so cool. I was talking to Alfonso David, who's like founder of the Black Economic Alliance, about 2 weeks ago for this podcast. And I asked him the question of, what is he concerned about for Black people regarding AI? And I expected him to give me the response like most people give, like, it's going to steal jobs, going to do all of these things. And his response was actually, I'm afraid that we are not at appropriately taking advantage of the opportunity. And I thought that was such a refreshing take on it. And so I would position that to you also. Well, you can pile on that perspective, but what are the things that you are concerned about regarding specifically Black people and this revolution that we are in the early days of?
Yeah, I'd say I 1,000% agree with that sentiment as well. But I'd say I have less a feeling of concern, but more a feeling of like now's a moment we're living in that like you very rarely see in any generation in terms of just this level of disruption. And sometimes people feel like, oh, like the boat's left the dock and it's too late and like I'm so far behind and there's no way for me to catch up. Like that's not the case right now. Like the amount of people I talk to that you would think are incredibly informed, like in the weeds of like tech, like in Silicon Valley as well, that have like no idea some of the basic things that are happening right now in the world of AI. That you don't need to be like a developer or incredibly
Yeah.
technical to understand. It's like mind blowing. So we're in this world right now of like insane information asymmetry. Like there's some people who know and there's people that don't. And if you know the level of power that you have relative to those that don't is it's like you're a superhuman amongst like barely even like mortals. Like you are just like you have superpowers. And it's up to you whether you want to go out and really realize the superpowers that are just laying there for you to grab, or are you going to wait for someone else to actually grab them and trounce you? And so that's the opportunity right now that every human being on the planet has access to. Because the amazing thing about like AI, like the barrier in terms of what's there to actually access and take advantage of it is like it's not very high. It's very minimal. Like the amount of money we spend on like our iPhones and other items is like de minimis. Like that's nothing. Like AI is not like incredibly expensive to actually engage with and utilize. And so I just encourage everyone to just jump in, get your hands dirty. If you can tell a human being like what to do and give them instructions, you can tell an AI what to do in terms of be able to do tasks or build experiences. Like it's
Yeah.
that level of just relatability to just human nature, which I think is fundamentally awesome and will allow for a different type of individual to access and engage with technology than ever before.
Yeah, as then you made me think of something like in the early days, or at least the mainstream early days of like Bitcoin. I'm talking, 6, 7 years ago. I was talking to a friend of mine because it was not efficient or very easy to get on and get involved in the blockchain. And I remember trying to get in, thinking I'm going to be setting up a wallet. I ended up inadvertently downloading the blockchain onto my computer because I didn't know how to get in. And I was talking to a friend of mine. He's like, I can't figure this thing out. And he's like, that's where the money is made on these technologies. He's like, when it's not obvious how to get involved, that's when the people who really make the money, that's when they're making the money because the user interfaces are not fluent, they're not designed for the mainstream, and etc. AI feels different. What OpenAI is doing, what Google is doing, what Microsoft, this feels different, and you don't necessarily even know how to code. And so, can you talk about easy ways, actual specific things people can do to expose themselves to this opportunity?
Yeah, so I'd recommend if you haven't gone on to Chat GPT, which is super basic, and like spring for the plus account. Spring for the account where it has what's called multimodal capabilities. Like you could upload a picture and ask Chat GPT to give you like feedback on the picture. Uh, just get a flavor for how all this stuff works. And then also get a flavor for how you can leverage AI to like teach yourself things. Like knowledge, the ability to acquire knowledge is what's I think incredibly valuable around AI. Like it can meet you where you are in your level of sophistication and then teach you in a manner that books and YouTube and other things like can't do. So just play around with trying to learn new concepts through the power of AI just on ChatGPT. If you want to get a little bit more sophisticated, there is a tactic that I encourage everyone to try to educate themselves around. So there's large language models, which are these foundational models like ChatGPT and OpenAI that allow you to interact with intelligence and like the internet. Then there's this tactic called RAG. It stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation, which allows you to take any body of content that you like curate. So it could be like a PowerPoint presentation, it could be a book, it could be whatever you can think of. And then you pair it with a large language model, and then you can craft yourself your own chat experience that then allows you to interact with information like never before possible. To give you a sense of some of my own workflow, like sometimes there may be companies coming in to present to our partnership on a Monday morning, where say my partner brought it in. It's an incredibly technical uh, area that I know nothing about, that I spend no time in. But it's my job to be someone informed, to ask the tough questions, because afterwards, as a team, we got to decide whether we can invest them or not. Sometimes I develop a workflow. Well, I put it in that company's blog and their website. I put it through a RAG pipeline, attach it to an LLM, being ChatGPT, and then I create this prompt. Prompt is basically natural language instructions to tell what the AI to do. And I tell the AI, like, tell me everything I need to know. Assume the persona of like this company, and I'm going to ask you all the
Yeah.
dumbest questions in the world. And then what I do is I then get on and I ask all the world to understand what the hell this company does. So then I actually, before I meet the company, I'm way down the route of getting all the basic questions out of the way, so I
Yeah.
can actually ask the tough questions. So it's a basic way of understanding how to just access information and knowledge in a way that's never been done before. And there's lots of companies that have productized the ability to do that. It's a company called Mind Studio, Pickaxe, Chatbase. There's like endless amounts of these things that you can use for your own just like superhuman personal AI capabilities. I have like literally like I don't know like a couple dozen of these things that I access sometimes for just personal help around my day-to-day workflow that I'm not technical, and it's not hard for anyone to do some of these things. And so those are ways in which you can engage, from simple ChatGPT to learning about RAG, which I encourage everyone to understand what that is.
Yeah, yeah. So I found this quote from you that I want to remind you of and get your thoughts on it. And so you said, if you're not understanding the voice of the consumer in a way where you can develop product and design for this, what's going to happen is you're going to wake up one day and realize that you've been leapfrogged by someone else who asked. You remember saying that, first of all?
I, it sounds like I said that, but I don't.
Sorry.
We'll take
All
some
right. So,
ourselves.
okay. And so I would ask you then, what are consumers asking for with AI? Or I guess a better question is, do we even know yet what we're asking for? Or are we being just surprised and delighted by Sam Altman and other people?
Yeah, so I'd say again, like AI, I kind of refer to a little bit as electricity. So like what do consumers want with now the new electricity? I think people still realizing what we could power up with it, like what that now we could take a like with AI and to start like lighting up. And some of the smartest people on the planet are still figuring this out, understanding how average people can start playing around with these things and create new novel experiences and concepts that are groundbreaking. And I see it all the time in this job. People finding new ways to leverage AI to solve problems that before people never thought would be possible. And so this is an industry that is just so exciting because it's moving so fast, and humanity is figuring out what to do with it. But in a way, it's also scary because I don't want to take it there. But like, there's also like a dark side of the regards to where this all can go because uh, humanity can build things to make humanity better, and they could also build things to make
Yep.
humanity worse. And there are ways in which you can weaponize an AI in a manner that is honestly incredibly frightening. And my hopes are that we don't get to a point where that's run so far along in a manner that's hard to turn back. And I don't think it's regulation that's going to be able to kind of rein these things in because I don't think we know what we're regulating. It's just moving so fast. So I think it's up to us and those people that are investing or building products here that employ their own moral sentiment and good around like what should we be building and what should we not be building.
I mean, just go a step further on that because even if we did regulate, or even if we did have a moral compass here domestically, you still got other countries building. Like we're not the only people building
No,
AI,
no.
and so how do we live in a world? I guess like with nuclear bombs, I guess it's the same thing. We can't stop other people from doing this work.
I don't know. That's why we're in such honestly we're in such uncharted territory. Some of those things are like outside of our control. Like
Yeah.
it's tough. All I know is like my personal part in that is like there's certain companies if I'm pitched, I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna fund that if I think that it may not make the world a better place. Like there's an example of a company I was pitched where it was an AI companion for kids that have trouble making friends. And to me, like it was incredibly horrifying the idea. I have two boys, 6 and 8 years old, them like not going out trying to make friends and be in touch with humanity, and instead being at home, like in their rooms talking to their AI friend because that's the only person they can make a connection with. And they think about what happens if some of this startup runs out of VC dollars and then has to shut down. Would all his AI friends just die? Like, I mean, it's
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
that's not good either. So it's like to me, I think that makes humanity worse in terms of like having us be disconnected from one another. Versus finding ways to leverage AI to further connect us with each other and with humanity, which I think there are ways in which to do that that are quite powerful.
Share some insights on how AI might be reshaping traditional industries, and creating new opportunities for entrepreneurs.
Uh,
I'll let you pick which traditional industries you'd like to speak on.
yeah, I mean, for instance, like a traditional industry, we have a company called Laurel that I'm on the board of that's using AI to streamline the way uh, law firms and lawyers manage the overall time tracking process of their work, which right now is incredibly manual and just takes up a part of their day that
Imperfect. Imperfect. I will also
clearly
add.
imperfect. And so this application, because it's a piece of software that's installed on the computer, it captures all your work. And it's also on your phone, and then allows you to better streamline the process of then taking all the work at the end of the day, and then they have AI to intelligently categorize it, attach it towards clients, and then basically and then know how to code it in the right way for the billing to then just give you back a lot of your day and have incredibly high accuracy in regards to how you're going about the billing process. Like that's something that only AI can do in terms of being able to intelligently go through all that workflow. Um, Another company is building AI to help the overall sales process for both sales managers and AEs to be better informed in regards to how they talk to new accounts or existing accounts uh, what are the best value drivers they should be articulating in a sales conversation, and also knowing which accounts they should be spending time on versus deprioritizing, leveraging third-party signals that potentially could give triggers around folks getting into buyer modes, and to do that in a way that is also orchestrated for managers to better know how to allocate players on the field in terms of who's doing well, who's not doing well, who to promote, who to potentially fire, and that's something where AI is just creating this unique orchestration layer on top of a full-on department. So that's two examples that
Yeah.
we're seeing. I'm seeing my friend who formerly was CMO at Revolve. They're using AI all over the place with regards to fashion design of the full-on apparel assortment to their social media campaigns, their collateral. Like there's lots of amazing ways that Revolve's even been public talking about how they're embraced AI in a meaningful manner, even sort of AI influencers that are showing up in Coachella ad campaigns, for instance, which is a meaningful time of year for them. So it's infecting everywhere in a way that's quite meaningful and exciting.
Do you believe, there's this Silicon Valley, and I believe it was originated out of Silicon Valley, this concept of universal basic income. Do you believe we are speeding towards a world where that might actually be necessary because AI will replace so many of, jobs on the lower, and even some of the middle realm jobs?
It's a good question. I don't know if I have a great answer for that because you'll hear many people say that AI is going to give more people time back that was otherwise spent doing like remedial work, and
Yeah.
there's not going to be this notion of job loss. But no, there are going to be certain industries and professions that are just wiped out because of what AI is able to do. Whether those individuals then have the ability to enter into new jobs that are created because of what's happening with this technology, and it's going to net it all self out. I don't know. I don't know how the overall economics of this play out from a labor perspective. And part of this also has to do at a rate by which there's job loss versus job creation from the power of AI. My my gut is that we're going to see, and I don't think we hit it just yet, potentially a massive exponential effect from AI with regards to displacement of labor, where there could be that imbalance that then could justify exactly what you're talking about there in terms of having some level of economic support for folks that are out of jobs. But I don't know, honestly. It's like I spend
Yeah.
a lot less time thinking about that, uh, and my gut has been, unfortunately, like it's probably going to be a problem. But I'd say a majority of folks, when asked this question, seem to think that it all nets itself out. But I'm a skeptic on that.
Last question for you to be respectful of your time. When you think about Black founders and the opportunities that we are faced with regarding AI, what unique opportunities are we faced with as founders, and particularly those with a lot of melanin?
Unique opportunity. Honestly, I'll go back to it. Like AI is accessible for the most part to everyone, and regardless of your race in this situation, like this is like an equalizer moment. This is a moment where it's like I can take this tech and I can use this to my advantage to harness superhuman capabilities, either in myself personally or in my team members or even synthetic workers, to accomplish tasks and build value to the level where many people talk about there being the ability to build companies with far less employees, to the point where like we're going to see a unicorn business with like one or two employees.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like there's going to be like there's not going to be as much need for like capital from like folks like me to start lots of businesses because depending on how AI is being used, there's an efficient way by which you can actually build a company and create value that you never could before do. So this is a moment where I encourage founders, especially Black founders, to realize like this is like this equalizing moment that we haven't seen for a while. That like jump on, move fast. There's an element of arbitrage here as well. Like there's some ideas that I've seen where it literally is just arbitraging a category where someone hasn't realized that you can use AI to do X and their first mover advantage, and they're the
Yeah,
ones to
yeah,
bring this
yeah.
magical experience to life that the end customer didn't even realize was possible, and they're monetizing. Like these types of opportunities are everywhere, and lots of them are not like venture scale businesses, um, but they are incredible businesses to be running. And so I would just encourage everyone to just realize like now is an incredible moment right now to be a founder, to be building, to jump full on in, get yourself uncomfortable with regards to the knowledge that you're forcing yourself to learn, but then you'll start realizing like it's actually not that intimidating. You'll start pulling on the thread. And what's happened to me for the first time for a long time in my career, I actually feel like I'm getting smarter, and I'm getting smarter at a faster rate because I'm adopting and embracing AI at a level that I also know is far greater than most of my peers, and like anyone can do this. It's all a matter of whether you choose to do it or not, and embrace it versus be afraid it's going to take your job.
Okay. Kobie Fuller, thank you so much, man.
Thank
Super
you.
good. Super good.